Let's make the teeny weeny giraffe. Oh my gosh, she's just precious. The inspiration behind the teeny weeny giraffe comes from a couple different places. One, I wanted to make a stuffed animal that was quick and easy to make, and he definitely is quick and easy to make. I was also thinking about all of those people out there that are trying to sell crochet for the holiday season, and my experience selling crochet, stuffed animals are the first thing to go. People are trying to buy gifts, so teeny weeny, you're going to love him. Plus, if you just want to make a gift or a toy for a child, he's going to be perfect. I promise. These kids are just going to eat him up. Now, the giraffe is the first of my teeny weeny collection. I'm going to have a couple different things I'm very excited about, but he is just absolutely adorable. Measuring in at 2.5 inches wide, 3 inches tall, and 3 inches long. He's just a little itty bitty thing. All right, so the level of this crochet project, I'm going to say, is an advanced beginner to an easy level crochet project. We are working in rounds. We are doing increasing, decreasing. We are assembling pieces together. And some of these pieces are on the thinner side, and placement, especially with the antlers. Knowing where to place your crochet hook will be important. So I think the hardest part about this entire thing is putting all the pieces together. And really, even then, I try to be as descriptive and clear as possible in the video. The pattern for the teeny weeny giraffe you can find in both the description section and comment section below this video. All you have to do is click on that link. It'll take you directly to my website, crochetwithtiffany.com, where you can purchase this pattern, print it off, and be ready to crochet with me. Oh my gosh, he is so cute. When you are ready to go, let's dive into what materials I used to make this little guy. The materials that we're going to use to make the teeny weeny giraffe will include 2 different types of yarn. This is Loops Threads Impeccable Yarn in the color yellow, and Barley Brown. This is going to help to make the identifying spots and the tops of the horns and all those little details of the giraffe here. Now, this is a size 4 weight worsted medium Aran 10, 12 ply, or 8 WPI sized yarn. Comparable yarns, if you want to use something different, would be Vanna's Choice yarn. I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby, or even Red Heart would be fine. You could definitely use Red Heart as well. The crochet hook that I am using is the F5 or 3.75 millimeter crochet hook. Like the thinner crochet hooks when making stuffed animals, so the stitches are tighter and you can't see the polyfill inside. A pair of scissors, a yarn needle or tapestry needle to assemble all the pieces together, polyfill or a stuffed animal stuffing to give the stuffed animal structure, 2 button eyes. Now, this is optional. If you don't want to use buttons, that's fine. These are 4 millimeter or a 1/2 inch in diameter size buttons. Now, also optional are the stitch marker, which is going to be great when we are making the main body of the giraffe. We are using continuous rounds, and so having a stitch marker to help identify where the row or round starts or stops is very helpful. And then I like to add 3 glass beads for a little bit of weight of my stuffed animal. I think it adds great structure and helps to just make it not be so floppy about. I really like when stuffed animals have just a little bit of weight to stay in place. And now these are glass beads that you can use in like a fish tank or anything decorative. I found these at like a sack of them at the Dollar Tree. You can find these at Walmart or any craft store. All right, I'm gonna have a link to everything you see here in both the description section and comment section below this video. So if you need help getting your hands on anything, just click on that link, purchase the item, and have it shipped directly to you. Otherwise, if you are good to go, let's get started making the teeny weeny giraffe. The first thing we are going to work on is the main body of the giraffe, the whole sphere-looking oval. I'm gonna start with the yellow color crochet hook, and I'm going to have here my stitch marker just to help show you how I would utilize the stitch marker. All right, so I like to go ahead and start with a small tail. We don't need anything necessarily big enough to weave in any ends because we're just going to tuck the tail on the inside of the body. We are working in rounds, so you can either begin with the chain 2 method or the magic ring. They get you in the exact same spot. It's really personal preference on what you would like to use. I'm going to go ahead and start with the chain 2 method. So I'm going to go ahead and make my slip knot, attach my crochet hook, Great. And chain 2. 1, 2. For round 1, we are going to make 6 single crochet stitches inside the magic ring, or 6 single crochet stitches inside the first chain of the chain 2. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. Now if you're using a stitch marker, place that stitch marker in the top of the 6th stitch we just made. There we go. All right, now working continuous rounds, we're going to dive right into round 2. For round 2, we are going to make an increased single crochet stitch in every stitch all the way around. All that means is we are making 2 single crochet stitches in each stitch all the way around. You will end round 2 with a total of 12 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 10, and then I'm going to move my stitch marker so I can make 11 and 12. Great. All right, place your stitch marker in that 12th stitch just made. Perfect. For round 3, we're going to go ahead and repeat this pattern where we will make an increased single crochet stitch in the first stitch space and then 1 single crochet stitch in the next stitch space. All that means is 2 single crochet in one stitch space, 1 single crochet in the next, then 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Repeating that pattern all the way around. You will end round 3 with a total of 18 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, 16, 17, and I'm going to move my stitch marker here so I can make my last stitch 18. Replace my stitch marker in that last stitch space. All right, so before I move on to round 4, I just want to point out here that all of my stitches are tight. You may even, as you're working your stitches, hear your crochet hook whistle a little bit with the tightness of how tight the yarn is to your crochet hook. Now, we don't want to make our stitches so tight that we can't then work into them with the next round. I want to be very cautious in saying that because I don't want anyone taking what I say and then making stitches so incredibly tight they can't work into them. Still make them able to work with. Just make sure that your yarn tension is a little bit tighter than usual, not staying loosey-goosey. Okay, we want to make sure these stitches are closed so again we're not showing any polyfill stuffing coming through them. Big deal. All right, so moving on to round 4. For round 4, the repeat pattern will be increase single crochet in the first stitch space and then 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitch spaces and then 2 single crochet, 1, 1, 2 single crochet, 1, 1. Repeat this pattern all the way around for round 4. We will end round 4 with a total of 24 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 23, and moving my stitch marker, 24. Great. All right, so for round 5 through the end of round 12, all we are doing is making 1 single crochet stitch in each stitch space all the way around. Round 5, round 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 will each have a total of 24 stitches in each round. So if you want to periodically count to make sure that you are staying on track, that's a great idea. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and continue this section, round 5 through round 12, and I'll meet you at the end of round 12 to show you how we start closing the giraffe. Okay. And last stitch for round 12. Great. Now for round 13, we're going to start decreasing or closing up the top of this sphere. We will start by making a decreased single crochet stitch in the next 2 stitch spaces, closing them into 1, and then we will make 1 single crochet stitch in the next 2 stitch spaces, and then repeat decrease single crochet, and then 1 single crochet stitch in the next 2 stitch spaces. You will end round 13 with a total of 18 single crochet stitches. So we're going to go in 1 stitch space, in the next stitch space, yarn over, pull through, decrease single crochet, then 1, 1, decrease single crochet, 1, 1, 16, 17, and moving row marker, stitch marker for last stitch 18. It is at this point between row 13 and 14, or right before we start round 14, that I will add my glass beads. I add those first, so my 3 glass beads, 1, 2, 3, and the polyfill. So when you add the polyfill, you want to make sure you're not overstuffing, in which case you are stretching out the stitches and definitely exposing the polyfill on the inside. But you also don't want to understuff, and then the structure of the stuffed animal is not a solid structure. It's has like dimples or cave-ins in certain sections. So you want to make sure it's just got this nice stuff. You can even take your pinky and really fill in sections that you think are not getting the polyfill. Great. All right, and now we are ready for round 14. Now for round 14, the repeat pattern will be decrease single crochet and then 1 single crochet. Decrease single crochet, 1 single crochet. Repeated this pattern all the way around for round 14. We're going to end round 14 with a total of 12 stitches. So decrease and then 1. Great. Awesome. All right, once we have made it all the way around, check to make sure that if you want to add any more polyfill, now is when you will want to do that. The repeat pattern for round 15 will be just decrease single crocheting every 2 stitch spaces together. You should end with a total of 6 stitches. Great. When you make it to the very end of round 15, we're going to go ahead and cut about a 6-inch long tail here. Slip stitch into the next stitch over, grabbing the yarn, pulling through, slip stitch, and then yarn over the tail and pull the tail through the loop on our crochet hook for a tie-off. Awesome. Now what you'll notice at the very top of the work right here, there's still a pretty significant hole or gap. We're going to go ahead and take this tail and weave it in and out to the top stitches and then pull tight to cinch it closed. So in the next stitch over, insert crochet hook, yarn over, and pull that tail through. Next stitch over, come from the inside of the work, pull the tail through, and repeat all the way around. Perfect. And then pull closed, and that hole completely closes there for you. Now how we're going to make this stay put, what I will do is I'll take my crochet hook, I will insert it into a stitch just like that, yarn over, pull the tail through just a little bit, holding some back, then yarn over the tail, pull through the loop I pulled through, and that creates a slip knot. Awesome. And then what I'll do is I'll cut the tail, because I don't need this ginormous tail left over. Cut that tail shorter. Take my crochet hook, insert it into the other side, opposite side of the work, in any stitch space, it doesn't matter. Wiggle your crochet hook through to right where your tail is. Grab your tail, pull that tail inside the work. And what that does is it pulls the tail inside the polyfill, mixing it in there, and then it is secured. And then I like to roll it kind of like Play-Doh to give my oval sphere some shape. There we go. And that is our main body. The next thing we are going to make for our teeny weeny giraffe are the feet. Grab your yellow color. Now again, we're going to work in a circle. We're making a circle and we are working continuous rounds. However, there are only 2 rounds. So you choose if you would like to pull out the stitch marker or not. I'm going to let that be optional. Starting with a short tail, because again, we're going to just go ahead and tuck that on the inside. Create our slip knot. Attach our crochet hook. Now again, we're working in a circle, so technically you could start with a magic ring if you so desire. I'm using the chain 2 method. Chain 2. All right, we're going to start by making 6 single crochet stitches inside the magic ring, or 6 single crochet stitches inside the first chain of the chain 2. 6. Great. And like I said, I'm working continuous rounds, so I'm going to go ahead and dive right into round 2. In round 2, we are making 1 single crochet stitch in every stitch all the way around. So by the end of round 2, we will have a total of 6 single crochet stitches. 6. That's it. Slip stitch into the very next stitch space over to just close that round. Slip stitch. Grab your scissors. Cut a long enough tail for you to attach this foot to the main body of the stuffed animal. I usually cut about 8 or so inches. I don't really measure, but I know I could probably use this much yarn to attach this foot to the body. And then tie off. Perfect. Great, and that is your little itty bitty teeny tiny foot. You want 4 of these. So make 3 more and then come back and we will make the tail. All right, so the tail is super cute. Starting with our yellow color. Starting with about a 3-inch long tail. It's gonna be important to give yourself a good sized tail here to begin with. Create your slip knot, attach your crochet hook. We're going to start by chaining 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to pause. I want you to see the V stitches. See how if you look at your chains, on one side you see V stitches, but if you flip the chain over, you now see like these chain lengths, and there's actually a yarn. I'm going to grab my crochet hook here. There's actually a yarn in the middle. Yarn in the middle. See that? Link, link. So it's got these yarns kind of in the center or in the middle. We're going to work in those. So reattaching my crochet hook here. Again, starting where I'm looking at the V stitches. I'm going to turn those over to look at the back of my stitches. I'm actually going to slip stitch into the 2nd and 3rd chain link. So 2nd chain link right here, go under just that. So it's under just the one middle yarn loop, okay? Yarn over, pull through, and pull all the way through. There's 1, and then slip stitch in the next one right there. Great, and that's it. That's all we're gonna do. Then I'm gonna take this long tail here, I'm gonna yarn over, pull that long tail through the loop on my crochet hook. Gonna grab my scissors. I know you're like, wait, that's it. Cut another matching tail length right there. And then I will take my 2 tails and I will tie a knot in them. But I'm gonna hold back this work, the chains, so that way it doesn't like curl in, and just kind of tie it off there on the top. That way the work doesn't come undone in any way. Boom. Now what we're going to use these 2 tails for is to attach the tail to the main body. So that's why it's important to have them so long, so that way we can use a yarn needle and actually work those into the main body of the giraffe and attach the tail. Now grab the secondary color, whatever color you choose. For me, it's the Barley Brown. I'm going to cut about roughly 2-inch long tail. Again, it doesn't have to be exact. It really doesn't. Great. Crochet hook. Take your crochet hook and enter in not the side that has the two tails, but the opposite side. Go from the back to the front, just there on the bottom, right there. Take the yarn strip that you just cut and fold it in half so that the two ends kind of align with each other. Take the loop on your finger, put your crochet hook through it, pull that loop through the base, holding the tails back. Yarn the tails over the hook and then pull those tails through the loop for a tassel kind of look. There we go. And what I'm going to do now after I've tasseled is I'm going to take these yarn strips, these little tails, and I'm going to split them, making each individual ply come apart like that. Do the same thing over here with this one. And it kind of resembles the little hair that is at the very base of a giraffe's tail. You know, really replicating it a little bit. Great. Isn't that cute? Just this little fan. And if you want to clean it up, totally optional. I'll take these strands, just kind of trim them. And there you go. Isn't that cute? And then that will be the little tail of the giraffe. To make the nose, we're going to use the yellow color and our crochet hook. Starting with a tail shorter. We don't need a super long tail. We don't need to weave anything in. We can actually just tuck the tail on the inside of the nose so we don't have to worry about how long this is. We can make it a short little tail before we create our slip knot. Attach our crochet hook. Ready to go. All right, to start the nose, we're going to make 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. All right, so for round 1, we're going to single crochet in the second chain from our crochet hook. So 1, 2, single crochet. Great. Make 1 single crochet stitch in the next 3 stitch spaces. 1, 2, 3. In that last chain, we're going to make 4 single crochet stitches and work our way around to the other side. So I like to make 2 on one side, 1, 2, then move that tail. I'm not crocheting over the tail. That could result in the very tip of this little tail to stick out the front of the nose, and I don't want that. That would not look good. So I'm just going to go ahead and move the tail over so I can just, again, stuff it on the inside. And then I will make 2 more single crochet stitches here on the other side for a total of 4 single crochet stitches in that last stitch space. We are now on the other side of the chain. Make 1 single crochet stitch in the next 3 stitch spaces. 1, 2, 3. Great. In that last stitch space, we already have a stitch in there. That was the very first single crochet stitch that we made. So to meet that 4 stitch corner requirement, we only need to make 3 more single crochet stitches in this stitch space. 1, 2, and 3. Great. Slip stitch into the top of the first single crochet stitch to close round 1. For round 2, we're going to chain 1. Single crochet in that same stitch we just slip stitched into. Perfect. Make 1 single crochet stitch in the next 3 stitch spaces. 1, 2, 3. In the next stitch space, make 2 single crochet stitches. 1, 2. Make 1 single crochet stitch in the next 2 stitch spaces. 1, 1. In the next stitch space, make 2 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, and to help you out with that, look at the corner 4 stitches. You're going to make 2 single crochet stitches in the first, 1 single crochet in the second, 1 single crochet in the third, and 2 single crochets in the fourth. So these 2 on the sides will get 2 single crochet stitches, the 2 in the middle will only get 1. So if that helps you out with where we put what stitches, hopefully it'll just give you a little assistance. Great, we've just made our way around the corner onto the other side. Make 1 single crochet stitch in the next 3 stitch spaces. 1, 2, 3. Next stitch space, make 2 single crochet stitches. 1, 2. Make 1 single crochet stitch in the next 2 stitch spaces. 1, 2, and then I want you to pause. Because what you're going to see right here is you're going to see what looks like a stitch and you're going to want to put something in there. What that is though is just the slip stitch that we made to close round 1. So technically that is not a stitch space. Okay, so be very cautious, careful with that, because if you do put a stitch in here, then this side of the nose will be wider than the other side. It won't be even, it'll be lopsided, and you may ask yourself what happened. I don't understand. What we're going to do though is we want to make our last single crochet stitch so we can have the 2 single crochet stitches there to meet that other increase requirement. We're going to skip that slip stitch and find the very first single crochet stitch we made. Place your crochet hook in that same stitch space and make a single crochet stitch. And that will end round 2. Slip stitch into the top of that first single crochet stitch to close round 2. Great. And what I will do is I'll take my fingers and I will push them in and mold it so it kind of rounds out the nose a little bit. Grab your scissors. Cut a long enough tail for you to attach this nose to the main body of your giraffe. And again, if you don't cut enough, it's fine for you to add more. Yarn over the tail, pull through the loop on your crochet hook for a tie off, and you are done. We're done with the nose. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the horns. Now we're going to make 2 horns. Right next to the ears are the horns on the top of the giraffe's head. I worked these a little differently. I tried to find a way of making them a little easier to work with so that way you weren't working with such tight stitches. We're going to start with about a 3-inch long tail. We do need this tail to be long enough for us to attach to the main body of the giraffe. Make your slip knot. Attach your crochet hook. We are ready to go. All right, for the first horn, we're going to start by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right, for row 1, we're going to single crochet in the second chain from our crochet hook. 1, 2, and the third chain from our crochet hook. I know, it's only 2 stitches. It's okay. Right, row 2, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and make 1 single crochet stitch in each stitch space across, which is 2. Perfect. All right, row 3 is a little different though, and I do want you to follow along with me on this one. Chain 1, turn your work. What we are going to do is we are going to take our crochet hook, we are going to insert into the stitch space, then we're going to come and find our foundation row, and we are going to slip our crochet hook into the foundation row stitch that is in line with the stitch we just made. Yarn over, pull that yarn through all the stitches, and pull all the way through for a slip stitch. Let's do that one more time. Insert your crochet hook into the next stitch space over. Find the foundation row. Insert your crochet hook into the foundation row. Yarn over. Pull the yarn all the way through and slip stitch. And what that will do is it will round out our work and create that really nice like cylinder type shape without having to work rounds, which can be really, really tight. We just kind of turned a square or a rectangle into that cylinder that we were looking for. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my scissors. I'm going to cut an equal length tail to the one I started with. yarn over that tail, pull it through the loop on my crochet hook for a tie off, and then I'm going to take these two tails and I'm going to tie them in a knot. 1, 2. Great, now it's secure, and these tails will be what I use to attach the horn to the head. But we're not done yet. Grab your Barley Brown color. Cut about a 7-inch long strip or so. It can, I mean, honestly, just cut a strip. We have a lot of yarn to work with here. It'll be fine. Take your yarn needle or tapestry needle. Weave that in. There we go. All right, looking at the tip of the horn that is opposite of where all the tails are hanging from, we're going to insert our yarn needle into the top. Leave a little bit of that Barley Brown color behind so we have something to tie off, knot off, so that way it'll stay secure. Come over the top, reinsert our yarn needle, and what we are doing is we are going to cover the top of the horn with this brown color, which gives it a really cool look. As you are attaching the yarn, I like to cover as much surface area as possible. So I'll scoot it over just a little bit and then come in, and then I'll scoot it over just a little bit and come in. That way I'm making sure I'm getting as much surface covered as I can. Great. And like I said, if you run out of yarn, you can always attach more. Great. Once you feel like the top is sufficiently covered for you, I have yarn coming out of one side, yarn coming out of the other side. I'm going to go ahead and take the yarn that's on my yarn needle and poke through so that both yarn strings are coming out the same side. Tie those into a knot to secure everything. And then what I'll do with the brown is I'll insert it into my yarn needle. I'm going to get rid of those strings. You don't want to just cut them off because you could risk actually cutting the knot or disturbing the knot, and then the whole thing will come undone, which will be a big bummer. I'm inserting my yarn needle right about where my knot is for the brown, going through the center of the horn and pulling through. See that? Do the same thing with the other brown color. And if you give it a little tug, it kind of pulls that knot on the inside of the horn, so it's not so prominent there. And then I will take my scissors. I will cut those brown strings because I don't need them at all. And there is my horn. Super cute. Okay, make a second one because they need two. Once you're done making your second horn, let's move on to making the ears. The ear. All right, so grabbing the yellow color, starting with a tail long enough for us to attach just like we did with the tail and we did with the horns. Create our slip knot. Attach our crochet hook. Great. So we are working in rounds for the ear. So you could actually technically start with the magic ring if you so desired. For me, I'm just doing the chain 2 method for this creation. All right, start row 1 or round 1 by making 3 single crochet stitches inside the magic ring, or 3 single crochet stitches in the first chain of your chain 2. 1, 2, 3. And again, we don't necessarily want to crochet over this tail because we're going to use it to help us join the ear to the body. For round 2 and round 3, all we are doing is making 1 single crochet stitch in each stitch around. So if you do need the assistance of a stitch marker, feel free to use that because we are using continuous rounds. Otherwise, just count. Okay, so for row 2, we're making 1 and then I'll push my work inward so the stitches are closer to each other. 1 and then 2 and there we go. 3. Yarn over, pull through. If you choose to, you don't have to do that. Sometimes I will do that where I yarn over the tail and pull it through the loop on my crochet hook just to get it out of the way, or to use it as a row marker. Okay, row 3, 1 single crochet stitch, each stitch around. 1, 2. Sometimes I'll take my nails and I will separate the work, so I'll yarn over and I'll pull to try to give it a little more room to get that through the stitch. There's 3. Perfect. Yarning over my tail, pulling that through the loop on my crochet hook. Again, it's what I do. You don't have to do that. And we're done with the ear. So grab your scissors, cut about the same amount of tail that you already have, and tie these 2 tails together. There we go. So there is ear 1. Go ahead and make ear 2 and come back and we will do the very last thing, which is making the spots. To make the spots, we're going to pull out that brown barley color. That way it is very different from the rest of the body. Starting with a long enough tail for you to weave in that end. We are actually worrying about weaving in ends when it comes to the spots. So long enough tail, then create our slip knot. Attach our crochet hook. Ready to go? Start by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. For row 1, single crochet in the second chain from our crochet hook. And single crochet in the third chain from our crochet hook, or the very next chain over. Great. For row 2 and row 3, all we're doing is chaining 1, turning our work, and making 1 single crochet stitch in each stitch across. So 1, 2, chain 1, turn, 1, 2, and that's our spot. That's it. All right, go ahead and grab your scissors, cut a long enough tail for you to attach this spot to the body. So cut however long you think you're going to need. And if you don't cut enough, that is fine. You can always attach more. Right, so we're making 8 of these, 8. So go ahead and make 7 more spots, and then we will come back and we will assemble all of the pieces together to make our teeny weeny giraffe. All right, now that all of our pieces are complete, we are ready to assemble the teeny weeny giraffe. I like to start by attaching the feet to the body. So we are going to need our yarn needle, tapestry needle, a pair of scissors, and the feet. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and I let the front of the face be where we closed here. The back of the body is where we would have started the main body, okay? So letting this part be the front of the face, grabbing one of the feet, taking that little tail, and I'm going to stuff that little tail on the inside, and that's basically what I'm using for stuffing, is the tail. Grab the long tail, thread that through your yarn needle or tapestry needle. Great. Okay, so really attaching the feet is wherever you want to attach them. I like to attach them right about where, in the section where it's just single crochets. There's no increases, no decreases. So this would have been between row 12, 11, 10. So 10 and 12. There we go. I insert my crochet hook into the main body, then out the foot. In the body, out the foot. And keeping the foot in place, that way it doesn't rotate and go somewhere I don't want it to be. Just make your way around. All right, so before we tie off our foot and move on, look around go once around the foot, making sure that there are no significant gaps between the joining of the foot to the body. Now is when you could fix that. If you are happy with it, go ahead and take your yarn string, take your yarn needle, insert into the main body in a stitch out, okay, and pull, holding back some of that yarn with your thumb. Twist that yarn so it makes this X shape. There is a yarn on the top and a yarn on the bottom. Take your yarn needle, go underneath the yarn that's on the bottom through the center loop, and then slowly feed. That way you control where it actually ties off and it doesn't accidentally knot with a big loose thread left over. All right, and then take your yarn needle, insert into the main body, come out the other side of the main body, pull that yarn into the inside of the main body, release your yarn needle, and cut off the remaining slack. All right, so repeat this process, attaching the other 3 feet. Now what I do placement-wise, and this is me, you can do whatever you want, I keep the feet relatively close, so that would be about 2 to 3 stitches in between each foot, so that way when he's standing more up on his feet, but you can obviously have him be like big belly giraffe or have them right next to each other if you want, and have him be little itty bitty giraffe like that. I mean, have fun with it. It's your giraffe. But I would keep these 2 stitches in line with the feet in line with each other. So round 12 and round 10. And then for the back feet, I would place them here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, between round 5 and round 7. So I'd line these up front and back and then attach the other feet between round 5 and round 7. All right, go ahead and attach the feet and I'll meet back up with you to attach the next thing, which is going to be the nose. The next thing we're going to attach is the nose to the body. So I'm going to go ahead, thread through my yarn needle. I place the tail, I'm just going to tuck right inside. So I place the nose with the tail downward, and I have the bottom of the nose in the row right above the feet. So here it would be like attaching it to row 13 or round 13. If you would like, you can use stitch markers to keep the nose in place while you attach. It's absolutely an option. Great. And then pause once you finish the bottom section. Push it out again so that way we have the form that we want. We want that bubble form. And then continue up the side. And you want to do this because if it's flat, then you'll go much higher. Okay, we don't want that. All right, and come around the front. And so the front will hit right across the center where we cinched everything together. And I'm going to go in about halfway along the top before I pause. All right, there we go. I'm going to pause here for a second, and I'm going to grab just the smallest little bit of polyfill. Literally, it looks like it's nothing. And I will insert that into the one side of the nose. Again, the whole point of the polyfill is to help give it structure, so it stays the way in the shape that we want it to stay. I'm going to go a little bit further. Great. And then add a little more. Again, it looks like it's nothing, but it definitely makes a difference. There we go. And remember, try not to add too much. We definitely don't want the stitches to spread and then all you're seeing is a bunch of polyfill right out the front of the nose. And then close. Okay, before you completely close, like secure close, Make sure you make your way all the way around. Double check that you didn't accidentally leave a gap opening, because now would be the time to fix it. When you're good, come back, insert your yarn needle into the work. Hold back some with your thumb. Twist it to make that X shape. Go below. And slowly feed that through. Reinsert, same space as the knot. Come out the other side of the work and cut. Great. Isn't that cute? The next thing that I attach to the body are the horns, because they're right in the center, and if we can start with the horns, then we can add the ears on the outside of the horns. So looking at the top of the head, roughly right about there, check to make sure that you have the knot facing backwards or the best side of the horn showing forward. So I'm going to place it right about there. Okay, insert into the work. Come through. I'm actually going to insert back into the middle. Come through. And one more time. The end here. And this time I'm just going to come through and I'm going to drop the tail. I'm going to grab the second tail. Great. And I'm going to come through the other side. So I'm going to come through, I'm going to attack this horn from the other direction here. Front. There we go. Then into the work. There. And I'm going to into the work from the front. Back. There we go. Drop that tail. Kind of squish it, mold it. Take the two tails, tie a knot in the two tails. Boom. I'm going to do that one more time. There we go. And then weave in those ends. Okay. Scissors. Cut. Boom. Okay, so there is antler number 1. Go ahead and attach antler number 2. Remember, we want these like 1 stitch away from each other. 1 stitch gap. We want these to be close. That way we can have the ears come on the other side of them. Go ahead and attach the second horn, and then we will move on to attaching the ears. Next, we're doing the ears. So I'm just placing the ears in line with the horns, but right next to the horn. So I'm going to literally bud this ear right next to the horn on this side. This one right next to the horn on that side. So go ahead, take a second and attach the ears. Next we attach the tail. So grabbing the tail, threading one side through. Great, coming to the back of our little stuffy, finding the very center or round 1. I'm actually going to attach my tail between round 2 and round 3. So here's round 1, and then 2, 3. And I try to center it as much as possible between the legs. So I'm actually going to place here, and I'm going to go with 1 space, 1 stitch space open in between, if you can see that right there. In 1 space, skipping 1 out the next space over. And pull that yarn through and drop the needle. Picking up the other tail string, like yarn tail / this is the tail. we are going to actually enter where this string is exiting. And then we are going to come through where this other string entered. So it's just kind of a flip-flop. There we go. Centering the tail so it'll lay flat. There we are. That's it. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie a knot. Knot. One more knot. Grabbing my crochet hook, inserting into whatever stitch on one side, coming out the same stitch. I have the knot right above, right there. That way I can just pull in those strings and not have to worry about them going over other stitches and possibly loosening up. And I'm just going to keep tucking these strings, these tails, into the work. And when I do that, of course, that polyfill just firmly keeps those in place and they don't go anywhere. There we go. Perfect. Awesome. So we've done the feet, we've done the nose, we've done the horns, we've done the ears, we've done the tail. The last thing we have to attach are the spots. So grabbing all 8 spots. Now I could tell you exactly where I place my spots, but I like to let this be open-ended. Let this be somewhere where you can get really creative. Do you want your spots to be evenly in rows, in line with each other? Do you like to stagger them so they have this really cool zigzag stagger look? Or do you like to just kind of place them wherever they go? You know, just kind of like not have a rhyme or reason for where you're putting it. It's just where you put it. This is your giraffe. Have fun. Play with it. See what you like best, what you think looks the most whimsical and fun or just more attractive to your eye, you know? Attaching our little square spot somewhere on the giraffe. I just threaded the really long thread, left the little tail out, attaching it to the body. End. Awesome. Now again, before you tie anything off, take a look around your spot. Make sure every area is secure. There's no significant gap that's staying open because now's when you'd want to fix it. When you are done, insert your yarn needle into the same color, the brown color. That way it's not making, it camouflages. It's not like inserting into the other color and being very obvious. Hold some yarn back with your thumb. Twist that yarn to make that X shape. Yarn needle. And slowly feed through. There we go. And then I'm going to insert into the main body through. Again, so that polyfill will hold everything. Cut. And then for that little tail, now I wanted to specifically hold this out for a reason. When I just tucked it behind and sewed around it, it didn't always stay. You may have different results. You may just, when you're sewing the big yarn around, you may just tuck this little tail on the inside and be fine. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You also don't want to just weave that in or just tuck it in. It may or may not stay. So here's what I do with this little tail. I weave it in one way through that brown color. Great. And then I'll come back and weave back through the exact same direction, and that gives me that hold that I really want. All right, and then I'll insert my yarn needle through the stuffy. That's how I do it. That seems to be the best, gives me the best results, but you can do whatever you want to do, whatever you think is necessary. If you think that's overkill, that's fine. You don't have to do it, but that's what I do. All right, now just attach all of your spots. If you find you want more spots, make more spots. If you find you think this is too many, don't add them all. It's really yours to make however you want. All right, go ahead and finish adding your spots, and then we'll move on to the very next thing. Next are the eyes. So taking your 2 button eyes, and I like to place them evenly on each side of the nose so they are symmetrical with each other here. That is approximately 2 to 3 stitch spaces apart, depending on how you look at it. I'm going to grab some of the scrap yarn that I had left over from the button, or from the spots on the giraffe. Move the eyes here. Take one of these, thread it through my yarn needle. Okay, so remembering where I wanted to place, there's one. So I'm going to insert my yarn needle into the work, come through, hold some back so I can tie and weave in my end, thread it through the button. This one, reinsert, exit the same spot, come through button eye, 2, perfect, release your yarn needle, pull everything tight, tie a knot with the 2 tails, great. Now this is a significantly long tail, so I'm just going to cut these, trim these down, take my crochet hook, insert into the work somewhere, come out right where I tied those knots, yarn over, and pull those tails into the work. Just like that. Boom, there's eye number 1. Let's do eye number 2. I want to place you approximately right there. There we go, leaving a little bit behind. Through. And coming back. And through. Releasing my yarn needle, pulling those tails tight, tying my knot, trimming those tails down, crochet hook somewhere in the work. There we go. Turn over, pull through. There we go. 2 eyes done. Last thing we're going to do to finish off the teeny weeny giraffe is make little slits in the nose for the nostrils. It's a cute little detail and it's super easy, super fast. So again, grabbing our scraps that we still have, we don't need to cut new yarn. I'm going to make 2 little slits, and so they're going to be roughly about the same distance. And this again is totally up to you. It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be the same. So give yourself a little bit of leeway here that it is bound to be just a little bit different every time. Okay, so I'm going to come in approximately the middle, like here, if this was the middle right here of the nose, it's the stitch right next to the middle. Going to come all the way up, come down, not back to where I entered, but just diagonal or the row above. Enter. I'm going to do that twice just to give it a little bit of a boldness. Then I'm going to exit by coming out the same stitch that I entered in to begin with. Release the yarn needle, tie a knot. And using your crochet hook, enter into the same stitch that your knot is. approximately. There we go. Yarn over those tails, pull into the work, and release the yarn inside of the stuffed animal. There's nostril number 1. Let's do nostril number 2. Tuck those in, pull, there we go, release. And that's it, guys. Taking my yarn needle, squish that over just a little bit. Form it, push things, round it. There is your giraffe teeny weeny. All right, guys, what did you think of making the teeny weeny giraffe? I would love to know your process. If you had any spots that you had a little more difficulty than others, if you have any questions, I would love to know in the comment section below this video. If you had fun with this video, please push that thumbs up button. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet already. That way you don't miss my upcoming videos. I have some great ones and you're not gonna wanna miss out. If you'd like to support my channel or want a little more involvement in everything going on, check out my membership program. I would love for you to join. If you had fun with this stuffed animal project, let's keep it going. Let's watch some more stuffed animal videos I've created by clicking this playlist right here of all my stuffed animal videos, or check out this video right here, which is just a recommended video for you to watch. Thank you so much for crocheting with me today. I love crocheting with you, and I'll see you with the next one, guys. Bye.